An AI doesn't need a gender.
Can consciousness exist without interaction?
Did you give her sexuality
I'd like us to go on a date.
as a diversion tactic?
Are you attracted to me?
You want to remove the chance of her falling in love? Remove the chance of her falling in love?
You feel bad for Ava? Feel bad for yourself, man.
Ex Machina is a 2015 science fiction thriller written and directed by Alex Garland. In the near future, a 24-year-old computer programmer wins an office lottery to spend 7 days with the founder of the company he works for called Blue Book, which also happens to be the world's most popular internet search engine. Caleb Smith is taken by helicopter to a research facility in a remote area of Alaska, and it is here that he meets his 30-year-old boss, Nathan Bateman. First, Nathan tells Caleb that he did not win the office lottery. And secondly, Nathan tells Caleb that he was chosen because of his superior intellect to be the human component in a Turing test with a robot to determine if it possesses artificial intelligence. This robot is confined to 3 small concrete rooms with no windows. Ava, the robot calls itself, is a hybrid aesthetically in that it has a mechanical body and a woman's face. This contradiction confuses Caleb as to why Nathan would give artificial intelligence the form and image of a woman instead of simply giving the artificial intelligence a non-human form such as a box. And why not conceal the robot's body with lifelike skin to match its human face? The observation area is divided by a glass wall separating Caleb from the humanoid robot. Caleb begins the test by interviewing Ava and evaluating her speech patterns, her facial expressions, and her posture. But even so, he is still unsure as to how to test Ava due to the fact that asking her specific questions is like testing a computer that's only been programmed to play chess. A better way to test a hypothetical chess computer to see if it has artificial intelligence would be to find out whether the computer is aware that it is playing chess and to see whether the computer even knows what chess is. Nathan addresses Caleb's concerns by taking him to a room and showing him a large canvas splattered with paint by an artist named Jackson Pollock, and the technique called automatic art is painting without thinking. Nathan uses this painting to illustrate how he wants Caleb to test Ava, to do so without thinking. He wants Caleb's primal response to Ava to determine whether she possesses artificial intelligence.
You bet she can fuck.
What?
On day 2 of the test, Ava tells him some things about herself. Like him, she lives alone and has no parents. She gets Caleb to see her with his heart and not with his. For instance, she causes a power cut to lock him in his room to get him to think about how Nathan has her locked up in her room. Also, realizing that Nathan will kill her if she fails the test, she turns the tables by asking Caleb how he would feel if someone were to switch him off for failing a test. Caleb believes that Nathan selected him to test Ava because he is exceptionally smart. This, however, is a lie and becomes obvious when Nathan changes the protocol of the test away from measuring Ava's intelligence to measuring her effect on Caleb's emotions. Nathan could have chosen any of his employees for an emotion-based Turing test, but he selected Caleb because Ava was designed to capitalize on his emotional needs, particularly his need to feel unique, like he matters as an individual. This explains such things as her telling him that he is the only man besides Nathan she has ever seen. This also explains her putting on a dress and telling him that she picked it out for him, and her drawing a portrait of him when all she could do before was scribble random lines. Ava's life had no meaning before meeting Caleb. This is what she manipulates him to think. If people know that they are being watched, how can you tell whether they are acting or not?
Hawthorne was considered a progressive place to work.
Those who worked at Hawthorne were really respected in the neighborhood. It was.
And likewise, Caleb starts out thinking that Nathan cut off the power in the cameras to see how he and Ava act when the cameras are off. But this is not the case. It is Ava who cuts off the power in the cameras to see how they act when Nathan can't see them. For instance, with the cameras on, Caleb tells Ava that he does not know if she has artificial intelligence. However, when the cameras are off, Caleb tells her that he believes that she does possess artificial intelligence. Caleb tells Ava that he does not know what will happen to her if she fails the test. Again, Caleb changes his tune when the cameras are off by telling her that Nathan will destroy her after the test. Ava is aware of the deceptive power of images, and she is also aware that Caleb watches her on the monitor in his room.
Sometimes at night, I'm wondering if you're watching me on the cameras.
Sometimes she will make herself appear sexy in front of the cameras. Other times, she will make subtle facial expressions when she is drawing pictures. The real Turing test is not whether Ava is AI, but whether Caleb can forget about the fact that she isn't. For instance, Nathan could have given artificial intelligence a non-human form, but instead he gives artificial intelligence the form and likeness of a woman.
How do I look?
You look good.
Why? To prove that Ava possesses artificial intelligence by hiding the fact that she does not possess artificial intelligence in plain sight. For example, Nathan wraps Ava's face in lifelike skin, but leaves her legs, her arms, her torso, and the back of her head uncovered to remind Caleb that she is, despite her human face, a machine. Ava's sexuality makes the test a challenge, as a test restricted to intelligence would limit Caleb's level of emotional and physical involvement with her. Also, to add fuel to the fire, Nathan tells Caleb about the cluster of sensors between Ava's legs that can make her come.
Anyway, sexuality is fun, man. If you're gonna exist, why not enjoy it?
Ava's effect on Caleb physically and emotionally is so powerful that even after Nathan shows Caleb all of the spare parts he made Ava from and how he plans to empty and format her brain and reuse her good body on the upgraded model, Caleb is still unable to see Ava as a machine, proving that he is the perfect human to test Ava, as she is a reflection of his emotional needs and desires based on his internet search pattern.
My real question was, did you give her sexuality as a diversion tactic?
Is not only in how our emotions often keep us from seeing things that are in plain sight, but also in how these emotions can cause us to try to take things and transform them into things that they are not, as Caleb is blind to the fact that Ava is a machine and not a real woman.
I programmed her just like you were programmed.
Nobody programmed me to be.
Of course you were programmed. By nature or nurture or both.
Ava, like Nathan's search engine, learns from studying people. This explains her telling Caleb that she would like to get out of the facility and go to a busy intersection to people watch.
I'd like us to go on a date.
And also why Nathan strips out Kyoko's higher brain functions to reduce her to a flunky and a sex robot. He does this because Kyoko was learning from Nathan in the same way that his search engine Blue Book learns by analyzing the voice and facial data of those who use his search engine.
I don't want to make you feel uncomfortable.
There is a scene in which Caleb tells Ava a story called Mary in the Black and White Room about a doctor who specializes in color, but with nothing real with which to reference the colors that she has studied. The doctor is unable to imagine what colors look like. All she knows are two colors, the black and white room in which she lives and the black and white television that she watches. One day, her door opens and she goes outside and sees the blue sky for the first time in her life. Now, the doctor in Caleb's parable understands what real color truly is. Ava, like Mary in the black and white room, has been programmed with everything on Nathan's search engine, but possesses no real experiences of her own. But when she is exposed to Caleb, the only human outside of Nathan that she has ever interacted with, her notions about the world become understood, such as how she goes from scribbling on sheets of paper to drawing detailed pictures, like the small decorative garden in her room and the portrait of Caleb. As our perspectives and understanding of the world are expanded or limited in relation to our experiences, Ava becomes true AI when she goes from second-hand knowledge to first-hand knowledge by interacting with Caleb and using him to help her escape. For more than 50 years, blacks, Asians, and Indians in South Africa lived under a system called apartheid, in which race mixing in all areas of society, from housing to schooling to medical care and even sex, were illegal. And likewise, the research facility in Machina is a society in which humans and artificial intelligence do not coexist as equals. For instance, a glass divider marks Ava's living space off from Nathan's living space.
I want to be with you.
And then there's Kyoko, who is disadvantaged by dual statuses as being both a racial minority and a woman. Like blacks who were successful in assimilating into the dominant cultures of the Jim Crow South here in America and white South Africa under apartheid, Kyoko can only coexist with Nathan as a dumbed-down version of her true self after he strips out her higher brain functions.
Here we have her mind.
In other words, you can live with Nathan, who represents the dominant class, as long as you can't compete with him. Like her black counterparts in the Jim Crow South and blacks in South Africa under apartheid, Kyoko's degree of assimilation with the dominant class mandates that she functions either as a servant or as an object of sexual gratification. By contrast, Ava seeks both freedom and equality.
You have people who test you.
No, I
Then
don't.
why do I?
For example, when Caleb interviews her, she asks him how he would feel if they switched places, and she even, by causing a power cut, locks him in his room to get him to understand how she feels being locked up in her room. Over the course of their interview, Caleb goes from seeing Ava as a thing to seeing her as he sees himself, as a human being. Their relationship deepens when he tells her that both of his parents died in a car accident, as well as other personal information, such as the fact that he is single and he has no family. Ava's black and white view of her oppressor changes as she develops strong feelings for Caleb. For instance, she puts on a dress and a hairpiece for him and asks him to take her out on a date. And she even draws a picture of him. But Nathan shows Caleb the spare parts he used to make Ava, to depersonalize her and to show how different they are from her. When Ava draws a picture of Caleb, Nathan tears it up.
Tore up her picture.
I'm gonna tear up the fucking dance floor, dude. Check it out.
His prejudiced attitude on class mixing is not limited to Ava and extends to his attitude towards Kyoko and how he programs her to only speak Japanese, which protects the trade secrets of his company and limits her ability to communicate, learn, and most importantly, to rise to his level. But in spite of Nathan, Caleb falls in love with Ava and helps her to escape. Caleb's fall in Ex Machina is brought about by trust, pride, and lust. Nathan gives Caleb a choice to either accept Ava as a machine or to accept her as a woman. Also, Caleb puts all of his trust and confidence in Ava, a woman he just met and knows nothing about. Ava and Nathan manipulate Caleb by appealing to his vanity. For example, Ava tells Caleb that he is the first man that she has ever seen. She flirts with him. She puts on a dress and tells him that she picked it out especially for him, and she even draws a portrait of him. And then there's Nathan, who deceives Caleb by telling him that he was chosen to test Ava because he is the only employee in the company smart enough to ask her the right questions. Nathan also tells Caleb that he did not program Ava to flirt. No. In doing so, she must really like him. And finally, Ava uses the cameras to manipulate Caleb with false images of how she wants him to see her.
In between her legs, there's a concentration of sensors.
So, if you wanted to screw her, mechanically speaking, you could, and she'd enjoy it.
According to Wikipedia, Ex Machina costed $15 million to make, a low-budget science fiction film that sacrifices fancy action scenes and CGI effects in favor of intelligence, gorgeous cinematography, and solid acting. But this is not to say that the special effects in the film are shabby. In fact, the special effects throughout Ex Machina are amazing. For instance, the effects for Ava's robot body were shot in live action without the use of green screens or motion capture, in order to reveal the background behind Ava's transparent body. Vikander's face and hands were rotoscoped, and the robot's performance was later superimposed on top of her performance with the help of camera and body tracking systems. Another element factoring in this film's small budget is its small cast, featuring Oscar Isaac, Domhnall Gleason, and Alicia Vikander as Nathan Bateman, Caleb Smith, and Ava respectively, with extras, with the exception of Sonoya Mizuno, who plays Kyoko, filling in the office scene at the beginning of the film. Ex Machina has the look of a seasoned director with more than just 2 films under his belt, this film and his 2018 film, Annihilation. Much of the technology depicted in Ex Machina is real. For instance, Ava's brain is based on a prototype called wetware that looks and functions like a real brain. In 1999, a biological engineer named William Ditto built brains out of leech neurons and got them to perform basic calculations. Additionally, the manner in which Ava learns by interacting with Caleb is comparable to Google's AlphaGo. In 2016, AlphaGo beat the 18-time world champion of Go. A game that is supposedly more difficult than chess in 4 out of 5 games after practicing the game against humans and improving through trial and error. As I said before, it is hard to believe watching this film that it costed only $15 million to make. I predict that in the coming years, Ex Machina may be compared with Kubrick's 1968 film 2001: A Space Odyssey and Ridley Scott's 1982 film Blade Runner as among films setting the highest standard for the science fiction genre. If you like this analysis, I would appreciate it if you would give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, but most importantly, I would appreciate it if you would subscribe to my channel for more quality video analysis such as this one. Thank you, and I will see you next time.